So you've covered steroid use quite a bit.
Mhm.
What are the right reasons to take steroids and what are the wrong reasons?
I don't think there is a right reason. I think there's a right reason to take testosterone replacement. Like if your test levels are low from blood work and a doctor says, hey, you probably should be on this after like getting multiple tests, and if you have the symptoms as well, you could have low test and feel literally great and fine. Like I've had 350 nanograms before for a year and I was fine. Like I felt great. And then I'd have 400 and then I have 500. And then slowly over the time of eating healthier and eating less processed stuff, my test has gone up. So I don't know if it has to do with the fake food I was eating for a while. Cause I used to eat a ton of 0 calorie this, lower calorie this, like the syrup, the Splenda, aspartame syrup that it's like 5 calorie syrup. I was like addicted to that shit. And as I cut that out, I got healthier, looked better, and my testosterone went up. So I think first you need to fix your diet, fix your training, fix your sleep, fix your recovery. And if those 4 things, and maybe there's other things, but if those main 4 things don't fix your problem, maybe consider going to a doctor. If you really feel terrible and have those side effects, that's when I would consider going to a doctor for TRT and make sure you're prescribed it. Don't just stick a needle in your ass and think that you're going to be fine, because there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. Is there the right time to take it? That's all personal choice. Is there a wrong time? Most of them. You know, like you're saying, like, is there ever a good time to take steroids? There's most of the time it's a bad time to take steroids. And I think, especially if you're young, like so many people are wanting fame. They want to be bigger. They want to look better. It's like, those aren't the reasons you're going to succeed in life. Like truthfully, like I think that's such a small factor of succeeding in like a fitness industry is actually being diced to the gills. I think you could be intelligent and get past that. You don't need to be absolutely shredded to be somebody, you know?
Yeah. What's the youngest person you've seen on steroids?
19. They started when they're 18.
Wow.
And I have a video on that too. Like a teen steroid epidemic. There was a 14-year-old, well, he's not 14, he's 18, lied about being 14.
Oh, I heard that.
And saying that he told me he's natural. I don't believe him, but whatever. You know, I guess 18 is the youngest.
It does seem like it's glamorized, because I remember growing up and like the steroid thing was never a thing. It was like, oh yeah, they do steroids. It seemed like a weird thing. Now it seems so common that it's like, oh yeah, they're on steroids, whatever.
I think I kind of hate that it's so common, because kids will come up to me and they're like, dude, I'm thinking about taking steroids. What do you think? And I'm like, don't fucking do that. Like, I'm not on it. You don't need it, bro. Like, I understand because here's the thing. If you have shit genetics before you take steroids and you take steroids, you're just going to look bigger, but still shit. Like, no offense, but like a lot of people that take gear don't look like they're on gear because they are not very good responders to the gear. Their genetics are extremely poor to begin with. And now their health is worse. Their skin looks worse. They have side effects because they didn't do their research. They don't have a proper coach. Like, there's so much that can go wrong and very little that can go right, unless you have fantastic genetics, also have a great coach, and have a lot of money to like make sure you're doing things right.
When was the closest you've ever been to taking steroids?
I mean, I've just like thought about it, you know. I've never like bought it, you know. Like, I heard a story about Will Tennyson. He's another fitness influencer. And he said like he bought it once and like he got that close. But like I've never been close. I've always liked being natural. Thankfully, I have very good genetics in terms of building muscle. Like it's not hard to build muscle. I just got to eat more and be fluffier for a little bit, and I build a lot of muscle. The reason I'm not absolutely enormous, I feel like, is because I just don't bulk for long periods of time. So I'm kind of like just maintaining and maybe sharpening up a little bit over time. But I've thought about it. You know, I've been like, dude, because think about it. If you have great genetics and you look great natural, imagine if you took steroids. Like, I look in the mirror and I'm 17 and I have looked very similar for a while. I've improved to a degree, but like, let's say 18 years old, I'm like, damn, bro, I'm like pretty jacked. And then you're like, but what if I took steroids? I'd be fucking C-bum, you know. Like, people don't realize that when you have a very impressive natural physique, I think it's more tempting to take steroids to a degree, because you're qualified to look insane / the best, you know. Like, if you have great muscle insertions, great responding to eating more food and growing muscle, fuck, if you took steroids, you're a great qualifier to do well in competition. You're a great qualifier to just get more likes on social media. Versus if you have, you know, say your abs, you don't have any lines. Your biceps are extremely high inserted. Your chest is extremely inserted small and not, and your shoulders are extremely high insertions, like where they like literally go into your body. So your muscle bellies are small. That's what it'd be called. If you take steroids, like you're not going to change that. You're just going to have a bigger bicep, but it's still really high up. Your shoulders are still really small. You know, your chest still is shaped odd. Like that doesn't get fixed. So then people don't realize that, like, that's why people, they go on steroids and then they regret it and they come off and now they're stuck on TRT for life, is because it didn't do this magical, wonderful thing that sebum looks like. You know, they look at sebum, they're like, steroids equal sebum. I want to be on steroids.
Do you think, just in terms of aesthetics, the natural aesthetic, the natural physique looks better than like a massive one that's probably on roids?
I think it's all to each their own. Personally, I think the natural aesthetic where you're like bodybuilder, but could probably still run a 10K, but probably looks still pretty normal going in clothes. Like maybe if you wore a tight shirt, people are like, oh, he lifts, you know, he looks good. I personally think that that is a very nice, like a superhero look, you know, like you look at Superman. I mean, he's probably on some shit, you know, but that superhero look, I think, is a great, you know, Brad Pitt Fight Club, everybody says. I think him with 10 pounds of muscle, solid.
That could be maybe why you haven't taken it, because that's what you
that's
like,
I desired a physique that I have, and then I'm like I literally tell people, I'm like, I don't really want to get much bigger. I just want to improve certain parts of my body. I want my shoulders to be bigger. I want my calves to be bigger. I like being lean, and you know, maybe a bigger upper chest. Other than that, like I literally don't want to get any bigger. The max I'd want to weigh is probably 190.
Did you notice a difference when you got your dream physique in terms of interest from women?
From women? I mean,
from guys, I don't know. Like
from guys, it went up. That's for sure.
That's great.
Honestly, I'm gonna say yes, and I feel like a lot of dudes can be like, "Oh, well, fucking pick me." Like, shut up. I would say that because I'm not huge, like when I'm shredded, or like right now, I'm lean. I'm not shredded. I'm like to my eyes. Let's say I lost 5 pounds of fat, like I'm gonna be shredded then. But I'm not like too like gross lean to girls. I feel like that's where girls would be, you know, they think, oh, you got a great body. You know, it's like the superhero body. It's the movie body, the Hollywood body. If I get too lean, say I lost 10 pounds, girls are like, oh, you're too
looking malnourished.
Yeah, like you look like you need to eat. Like my fiance she doesn't love me at a certain weight, but like I can tell that she looks at me a little extra when I'm like 180, 182. I'm like 186 right now. Not that she doesn't look at me like, you know, all juicy and nice now, but we look at photos and she's like, you look so cute there. And I'm like, I'm 180. And I'm like, I knew it. But then when I'm 170, she's like, she'll like touch me and be like, you feel like a skeleton. Like you might look good in photo and video, but you're so, like, she's not insulting me, but she's just like, you can't stay, like it's not healthy to be that lean. So that's another reason she doesn't like me being that lean. But you know, she prefers someone around 180, that sort of jacked but still soft enough look. And I would say a lot of women, not all, because some women like them softer, some like them skinny, whatever. But the women that like that realm of body, I feel like the Hollywood Brad Pitt with like a little bit more body fat and a little bit bigger is a nice middle ground for girls to be like, ooh, you look good.
I definitely think it's more of a guy thing, though. Like the attention you get from guys.
Is. Like, I think girls don't pay attention to it as much as the guys. Like, you know, girls are always saying like, oh, we don't do our makeup for men. You know, we do it for us and like blah, blah, blah. Like, who knows the answer? I'd say that a lot, but a lot of them do it for like, you know, they like looking pretty. I think it's almost the same thing with like guys building muscle, where it's more for our own self-approval, and then also maybe some peer approval is where a lot of it stems from. The first time I tried to put on muscle, it was strictly for sports. Like some dudes are like, dude, I did it for girls. I never once lifted a weight for a girl. Like I could, like, if that was the case, I'd be like, fuck off. Like then you're clearly not the right person to be around. But, I mean, I know my experience and what I'm saying comes from like walking around Miami in like 2021 when I was single before I met Claudia, and girls being like, ooh, like shit like that. Like it's because one, it's Miami, you know, like they're gonna be like they're drunk. Like, let's be real. So that's the only way I could say like I've gotten attention a few times. You know, if I didn't have this body, would I not get attention? I don't know. Maybe they'd still say, ooh, you know.
It's funny.
What about women on steroids? What do you think about that? Is it a problem? Is it fine?
I think it's more detrimental to their health than men. Like I've done a investigative video on this where there's a lot more that can go wrong because not that these are male hormones, but I would say they're male dominant hormones. Like male dominant hormones. Women still have testosterone for sure. Women still have estrogen, but when you jack up their testosterone to levels that a guy has, I mean, yeah, you might have more male characteristics if we're talking about, what's in the body and what's literally happening, with their jaw, with their voice. These are irreversible things. Is it more male or female to be that way? Who the hell knows? But I will say it definitely is very dangerous for a woman to do that because there's a lot of side effects that they can have problems with, having children, infertility and stuff. And, I mean, if someone wants to have a kid and then they take a cycle and then realize they can't have a kid, it's like, you just ruin part of your life, and that's why there's never a good time to take steroids, men or women. But I think it's really impressive. The women, and being backstage when I was at the Olympia, I think it's more impressive, their bodies, than the men, because these women literally, I don't know if it has to do with just how women hold water, because like there's muscle, then there's water, then there's like fat and skin or whatever the order is, but there's between skin and muscle, there is water, and men will do a lot. And so women to cut out that water. And I feel like women can cut water out of the tissue in their body a little better to where they look so much leaner. They look like an anatomy chart. Like the girls will walk and their hamstring, glutes, their shoulders, every single muscle will just have these like striations and stripes in it, even when they're not flexing. Like there will be girls standing there and I'm looking at their quad and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, and like C-Bum doesn't have that. So that girl is literally leaner than Chris Bumstead, and it's crazy. But they're just not as popular.
Really screw with their entire system.
That's the thing. Yeah. So I think like they have to. I think they almost have to push harder than the men to get that lean, and that means it honestly is more unhealthy too, because getting leaner than the guys already do, bro. Like you're on your deathbed, bro. You're about to like pass out.
Yeah. What about taking testosterone as a guy? Are there any misconceptions about that?
I think the biggest misconception, just testosterone, steroids in general, is that it's just going to make you look great. Like I said, genetics play a huge role. I think people will think, oh, I'm going to go on this. I'm going to gain 10 pounds. One, you have no idea if you're a responder or not. Like maybe there's some markers in blood work that can say, okay, he's going to respond to thing or she's going to respond to this drug. But like no one truly knows until you do it. And so it's kind of a roll of the dice. It's like a Russian roulette right there of just, will this drug actually work on me? I could have all these great genetics and then go take steroids and literally gain 2 pounds and be like, okay, I got all the side effects and no gain. So it's like, you never know. So I think that's the biggest misconception with any sort of hormone replacement or hormone anything, is just that it might not work the way you think it will.
What do you think about Greg Doucette's video? I have proof Jesse James West is not natty.
Did he post that? When did he post that?
He said, I have proof he's not natty. Line Jesse James West.
Greg, you make me laugh. I'm friends with him. That man is off his rocker sometimes with his titles and thumbnails. I don't even think he's coming up with them. I think he pays people to do it. And they're always crazy. He puts the craziest stuff in thumbnails.
So he said it was your pre-workout that you injected.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
but the thumbnail and the title.
I think do what you got to do to get views, Greg. I don't care. Like you can use and abuse my name. I know what I'm worth, my value. I know people that watch me know my worth and value. It's whatever.
Can you give us your best Greg impression?
Oh my God. Are you kidding me? I told you he's not natty. How was that? Was that good?
That was so good.
That was incredible. That was way better than I expected.
I feel like once you said it, my brain went ding. I know how to do that. I've never done that.